The difference in what's called creative destruction today from say 10 years ago or 20 years ago or any time in history is that we have today a dozen technologies that are all moving on an exponential doubling pattern. Drones are doubling every 9 months in their capability. The resolution at which we can image the human brain is doubling every year. The speed at which we can sequence the human genome is doubling every 6 months. And we've never seen this before. In the history of mankind, at any point, maybe one technology was accelerating or another. But today we have a dozen technologies all moving, and this is totally unique. An exponential organization is a new type of mechanism or a new type of way of building organizations that we've never seen before. It's less than 10 years old. In the old way, technology is scaling exponentially, but building the organization is very linear, right? But in the last 10 years, we've seen new models like Uber, Airbnb, and so on that are building the organization structure as fast as we can scale technology. It's a completely new way of building things, and they all have what I call a massive transformative purpose. Like Google organized the world's information, or Uber, everybody's private driver, etc. Then there's a set of externalities like community, algorithms, staff on demand, Airbnb is leveraging other people's assets, etc. And a set of internal mechanisms that allow you to manage the internal control framework and drive culture. And using a combination of those gives you an exponential organization. And the definition is you have a new type of organization that is scaling 10 times faster, better, cheaper than your competitors. Yes, we think all industrial sectors will be disrupted at different degrees, right? We found that in the past, we look at the world in 3 layers. Almost all of our history is the very physical world. All of the revenue, business models, value creation came from assembling raw materials or extracting resources or moving things around. And we make money off that physicality. Then we added like the Kindle or iPhone, where the product is physical, but all the revenue is digitally driven. And with mobile and internet, we now have entire industries, music, news, books, that are totally digital with almost no physical manifestation. And we're finding with all of these technologies that these industries are moving up and up that stack, right? The Tesla is not really a car with computers and sensors in it. It's a computer with wheels, right? But really it's an app with wheels. And that sounds ridiculous, but certainly that's the vector. And so more and more industries, even traditional ones, are moving to this new model. I often get the reaction that, okay, that may affect that industry or that industry, but it won't affect us, right? Let me take a traditional one, the construction industry. Every 4 years, there's a huge boom in the construction world when we have to build 60,000 hotel rooms for the Olympics, wherever it happens. So in Rio, they've put big construction companies send all their teams. Who do we need to bribe? Where will these hotels be? And Rio has no space. They partnered with Airbnb, and 60,000 hotel rooms didn't get built, right? So there we're seeing disruption in a very classic and very material and very physical industry. So we're seeing disruption either on the demand side or the supply side in every industry. You have to assume today that you will be disrupted. And then what you do about it is the big question. Bill Gates calls this the healthy paranoia that you should have, so that you're constantly on top of things. You know, when I think about the opportunity, I think you have to disrupt yourself. Otherwise, somebody else will disrupt you, okay? In a very cynical way of putting it, you have to Uber yourself before you become Kodak, is a silly way of putting it. But today there's a massive opportunity to transform companies. And we've actually created a 10-week sprint. We call it an EXO sprint, that moves leadership, culture, and management thinking 3 years ahead in 10 weeks, which was developed here in Spain. We have our main development office in Granada, down in the south. And we have done this now 20 times with big companies, and we've actually open sourced the methodology in our new book, Exponential Transformation. So anybody can pick up the book, run it inside their company, and totally transform the company. And I think so that's one skill set. Why I think it's interesting for Catalonia is there are two characteristics of the people in this region that I think are very powerful. The first is that there's a fundamental appreciation in creative thinking, design thinking, and the artistic element of building a business or being a person. And that I think is a huge part of the future. All the best and most successful companies have phenomenally good design thinking built into them today. Right? Apple, Tesla, you name it. So that's one part, is the appreciation for the creative. And this is one of the centers of creativity in the world. I think the second is that in order to build a business or any new organization, you have to have a huge amount of passion. And you're in Catalonia, there's a massive amount of passion here. I'm Canadian, there's not a lot of passion in Canada. And so if I was building a business, I would think that Catalonia would be an amazing place to start. A, because of the creative aspect, and B, because of the passion. So if I was a Catalonian company, I would take the really creative, crazy people in your company, take them to the edge of the organization, and have them build an EXO off the edge into adjacent spaces.